Okay, hello and welcome to Thursday's Facebook Live. So it's 1 o'clock and today we're going to be talking about having a tight back and how to release it. So over the last couple of days, because I'm doing these on a Monday, a Tuesday and a Thursday at 1 o'clock. So over the last few days we've spoken about sitting and how that can really cause serious back pain, and how to, some simple hacks to reverse the back pain that you get from sitting. We've also talked about standing posture and which postural type you may fall under and why those various postural types result in back pain. Now, if you've missed any of those over the last few days, at the weekend I'm going to be putting all of the recent Facebook Lives onto the vlog section of my website, which is mypilatestrainer.co.uk/vlogs. I don't know why we always do this with a forward slash. So yeah, they'll be uploaded at the weekend. I haven't had a chance to do it yet because we're just moving the Pilates studio, the physical studio I have at the minute. And hi Anita. And so basically I don't know whether this is good timing or bad on my half, but I've just literally had to leave my colleagues and the removals guys lugging some very, very large equipment up a very narrow staircase. So I don't think they're best pleased with that at the minute. So hopefully when I go back I'll be able to see how things are progressing. But I didn't want to miss this today because oh, thank you. I didn't want to miss this today because this is a really important one. Having a tight lower back is one, it's painful and it's really uncomfortable, and it can really start to affect day-to-day kind of activities and things. So you can get a tight lower back from several things. It might be that you've had an injury or trauma in the past before, maybe a car accident. It may be to do with poor posture, because we discussed in Tuesday's Facebook Live about some of the postural types that result in a tight lower back. So you can go back on the vlog section of the website and take a look at that if you missed it. Or it can just be through kind of poor mechanics or from lifting. So if you've got a heavy manual job and you're having to move and lug equipment quite a bit, you're going to end up with a tight lower back because those back muscles tend to kind of go into spasm a little bit. So I'm going to be talking to you about my 3 favourite exercises on how to release a tight lower back. Oh, Anita says, good job you can't see me because I'm still in my PJs. Good on you, Anita. If I had a choice, I would most definitely still be in my PJs as well today, so I don't blame you at all. Okay, so 3 top exercises that I use with clients on a day-to-day basis to release the lower back. Who's that? Hi, Val. First one is a pelvic tilt, a small pelvic tilt. So I'm just going to move that cushion away and hope that you can see me. Now I can't record, unfortunately, in landscape, which would have given us a wider view. So if any of you clever kind of technology focused people know how to record on landscape with a Facebook Live, I know John tried to help me the other day, but unfortunately it's not letting me start the recording in horizontal in landscape. It's making me turn it into portrait. So I've got this very narrow view for you, so I'm going to do my best. But yeah, it took 15 minutes off Tuesday's presentation for Darren to point out that actually he was watching the whole presentation with his head on the side, so at least he caught it before the end anyway. So this is exercise number 1 for a tight low back. So I'm going to lie down on my back here, okay, and I hope you can see me here, fingers crossed. And it's a lower back pelvic tilt. So you start off with the knees bent and the feet and knees hip distance apart. And what we're going to do is place the hands here at the front of the hips. We're going to breathe in. And as you breathe out, draw your tummy muscles in nice and deep, and then tilt your pelvis so that the pubic bone comes higher than the navel, than your tummy button. And in doing that, you'll press the lower back into the mat. And then we're going to release the pelvis back to the start position, so you've got a small gap here. And again, we're going to breathe out, hollow out those tummy muscles, and then breathe in and release it back to a flat back. So the pelvis basically, and you can do these standing, is tucking under and releasing, and tucking under and releasing. And what that does is it wakes up a really deep muscle in the abdominals called transversus abdominis, which really helps support the spine. It's like a corset muscle that runs round the entire circumference of the waist. And basically, oh, I think, John, you've put unlocked. It is unlocked, John. Yeah, thank you for that. I haven't got the rotation orientation locked, so I've tried a few things, but I'm gonna carry on. It's not gonna beat me. Where was I? Talking about the pelvic tilt. That's right. So you have a very deep abdominal here that you know, a lot of people day to day don't realise they have, and it's our own internal corset muscle. If you pull it in nice and tight, it's the only one of the abdominals that actually attaches onto the spine, so it really supports the back. But also, when you warm up that abdominal, it pulls in the abdominal muscles, so it pulls your tummy flatter. You also end up working and using the pelvic floor muscles. But the other benefit when you do the tilt and you scoop that muscle in is that it stretches the low back muscles. If you have weak abdominals and your tummy hangs forward, I'm going to try and show you here, then it will just kind of go like that. Your tummy will hang out and the back will go really tight there. So you've got no support at the front, and therefore your back is kind of hanging on for dear life and can't release. So you must strengthen the front first before you start to release the back, or do them both at the same time with that tilt. So that's exercise number 1, small pelvic tilt. Really easy, but really effective. The second one is a hip roll. So again, I'm going to come back to this place here. I'm really hoping that you can see me because I'm blocked at the minute with the comments. You're going to line your back again, knees and feet together for this one, and then arms in a low V. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the knees over to one side, and this stretches the side of the back on the opposite side. Keep the opposite shoulder on the mat and come back to the centre. You can use the tummy muscles to pull back, and then go over in the other direction. And again, it stretches this side. Keep the opposite shoulder down and come back to the centre. You can make this a little bit deeper by bringing the knees up into the chest and taking them all the way over to the sides and resting the legs on the floor and taking the head in the other direction. Now that particular one, that second one, where the knees are higher up and you take them over, is a lot stronger, and it will stretch the back further up. The one where your feet are on the floor and you're just taking your knees from side to side will stretch the lower back area. But the deeper you bring your knees up to your chest and take them over, you'll feel it when you do it. It's a much, much deeper rotation and a much stronger stretch. So you must come out of that one really slowly. Don't just suddenly launch yourself up if the phone rings. I must say, as a word of caution here at this point, if you have osteoporosis, don't do the deep rotations with the spine because it's not great for your condition. It can, it's just not great for the spine. So just avoid that one if you can, if you have osteoporosis or osteopenia. Same with a small pelvic tilt. When I get to the end of this session, if I can think on, I'll give you a stretch that you can do for the back with osteoporosis, because you guys are not meant to bend forwards in any way, shape or form, because it can potentially fracture the spine. So I'm going to give you a little tip at the end where you, if you have osteoporosis, can stretch your back without compromising the bones and risking a fracture. So that was exercise number 2. Please remind me before I get to the end, will you, if I forget that, because I've got a brain like a sieve at the minute. The last one is again in 2 stages. So the first part of it, you would lie down on your back, have one leg out straight, and you will bring the other knee right into the chest. Okay, and you can do that on both sides. You can do it with both knees in together, hugging the knees in. Okay, and then you can just rock from side to side and circle the knees. So that's quite a nice lower back stretch as well. It may get to the stage where that's not enough for you, okay, to curl into this position. You may feel like you want a bit more. So what we're going to do then is we're going to take it into a hamstring stretch as well. Now it's fine if your leg's down here, it's not a problem at all, or here I've seen it much worse. You can have a dressing gown belt or an elastic TheraBand, like an exercise band. put it underneath the sole of your foot, and as I said, it doesn't matter how high or low the leg is, and you just find that good stretching point for you. Now make sure your bottom doesn't come off the mat. Okay, so that's the slightly stronger version of the third exercise. Now the reason I was stretching the hamstrings as well as the back there is because they are very heavily interlinked. If you have tight hamstrings, you can quite often have a tight back, and that's not always the case, but it can be often. Now if you want to know whether you have a tight back or tight hamstrings, there's a way of knowing. If you have tight hamstrings, you will, hamstrings are these muscles at the backs of the legs, just in case you didn't know. If you have tight hamstrings, you won't be able to sit right up on top of your sit bones like this with the legs straight. You'll be back here, yeah, and there's no way you can get up on top of those sit bones without bending the knees, because these muscles here are too tight. If you have a tight lower back, you'll be able to, but long hamstrings, you'll be able to sit up here on the sit bones, but you won't be able to go forwards very far at all. If both your hamstrings and your lower back are tight, you'll kind of look a bit like this. Okay, so that just helps you know, is the tightness in the backs of your legs, your hamstrings, or is it in your lower back, or is it both? Okay, if you have tight hamstrings, it's really important that you stretch them. We are going to do another Facebook Live on hamstrings and the safest way to stretch them. But one thing I would avoid if you have a bad back or tight hamstrings or a tight back is this kind of hamstring stretch where you push forwards and certainly no bouncing. The reason being is if things are a bit tight and you're not used to engaging your abdominals correctly and exercising in a safe manner, then you can do a lot of damage by leaning forwards with a round back, and you can cause, I'm just going to grab this little spinal muscle again, you can cause this, oh hang on, there we go, you can cause that bulging disc, vertebra, disc, and if you lean forward and push yourself forward, you can get that, which we want to avoid at all costs, because anybody that's experienced that will know that it's certainly not something that you welcome. So those are the 3 exercises on how to release a tight lower back, and it is repetition. It's doing it regularly every single day. Don't think, well, I've got an hour on a Sunday, I'm going to have a massive stretching session and I'm not going to do anything else all week. You're much better to do 2 minutes every single day or twice a day, and you'll see the benefits really quickly. Now I've got a couple more really useful tips which involve possibly buying a little bit of equipment. So I always like to give the first few tips which don't involve any equipment at all, in case you can't afford it or you just don't want to. But if you can afford, these are just £15, and you can buy them on Amazon or just type in Google, and if you can see, it's called the Miracle Ball Method, and they come, where's this? They come in a box, 2 of them together with this little book. Now I'm not related to this product at all, so I'm not affiliated. I just absolutely love them, and if you have a tight lower back, they are a godsend. Now this little book tells you all things you can do with these balls, but you get 2. I'm afraid I've only got 1 handy at the minute. You can do all sorts of things with them. You can put them between the shoulder blades, but for a low back issue, tight low back, you can either put the ball right in the centre on your coccyx bone, that triangular bone, or you can put 2 either side just here underneath your bottom. And what it will do is when you lie still on them for about 10-15 minutes or 5 minutes even, the back muscles release and your back kind of goes into a bit of a hammock, if you like. Now you mustn't move on these. These are myofascial release balls, and you might think, what on earth is myofascial release when it's at home? But it's just the connective tissue in your body. So it's not the muscle, it's not the bone, it's the kind of the glue, the honeycomb that binds it all together, if you like. And sometimes that can get constricted or restricted, and if the fascia is tight, the muscle and the bone, so the actual muscles in your lower back and the vertebra and the spine, have no chance of moving because they're kind of being strangled by this connective tissue that weaves all the way through. These will help you release that connective tissue, and I love them because you get to lie on your back for 10 minutes and not move and not do anything, so it's a fantastic excuse just to be lazy. for 10 minutes. Now, the other simple hack is, do you know the Swiss balls, the big gym balls that you get? I haven't got one handy, but if you lie over the top of one of those balls and you want your waist directly on top of the ball, so you're hanging your arms off one side and you're hanging your legs off the other side, try not to have too much weight through your hands or your feet. Try and literally dangle over the ball like a rag doll. If you do that daily, it's amazing how quickly it will release your lower back. And when I mentioned about osteoporosis earlier, not bending forwards, that's one thing you can do with osteoporosis, because your body is over the ball and you're being supported by the weight of the ball, you're not going to put any load through those vertebrae, and therefore you're not going to risk any fracture. So that's a nice safe one to do with osteoporosis or osteopenia. So hack one is those little miracle balls. I'll put a link in the comments below. They're by Elaine Petrone, Petrone, and it's the miracle ball method. Get 2 of those, put them here, lie down 10-15 minutes, and you'll feel the back really start to stretch. And the Swiss ball, if you hang over it with your waist on the very, very top of the ball, just like you're a rag doll that's kind of draped over the ball, if you like, and just again hang there. Lovely excuse to do very little for 10 minutes, because we've all got one of those balls. It's usually in the garage or up in the loft, or with a pile of clothes on it in the corner of the bedroom. So that will help it to be put to use. So I hope you found that useful. If anybody has any questions just whilst we're still live, just pop them in the comment box below. And let me know if something wasn't clear, or if you've got a particular issue and you think, should I do that, or is that not safe, or you know, just drop it in the box below. And don't be embarrassed about asking a question. There are no daft questions at all, because I can bet you if you're thinking it, somebody else will definitely be thinking it as well. So yeah, these lives are just a chance to get any questions across, so we'll see. Now, whilst I'm waiting, if you want a little kind of cheat sheet, what I'll be doing when I post these onto the vlog section of my website, mypilatestrainer.co.uk/vlogs, so there'll be all of the Facebook Live videos on there, so you can recap if you've missed any. If you want the little cheat sheet with all the tips from today, like I said, it'll be the weekend before I can get this done, then drop me a comment below and I'll get the cheat sheet messaged over to you, so you don't have to try and remember all of this. So recap, exercise number 1, the small pelvic tilt. So lying on your back, knees bent, tilt the pelvis so your pubic bone is higher than your navel. That deepens the transversus abdominis, which we'll talk about in another Facebook Live. Really important muscle. And it stretches out the lower back muscles, so you can do that. Number 2 is the hip rolls, where you take your knees from side to side. If you keep your feet on the floor with the knees bent, it's going to be a lower, gentler release in the back, and sometimes that's enough for people. I know when my back was very bad, that was agony sometimes, so decide on your own level. If you want it deeper, bring the knees right up to your chest, lying on your back, and take your knees over to the side and place them on the floor. Just relax the legs, and then take your arms out to shoulder height and turn your head in the opposite direction, so you get that kind of double rotation through the spine, and that really stretches the spinal muscles. And the last one is lying on your back with one leg straight, pulling the knee into the chest. If that, you can do 1 knee or 2 knees at a time. If that becomes a bit too gentle and you think, I'd like a bit more than this, which you will get to, lie on your back, leg straight, other leg in the air, start to stretch the hamstring, okay? And then remember we spoke about whether the tightness was in your hamstring or whether it was in your lower back, and how to test that. So if you have tight hamstrings, the backs of the legs, you won't be able to sit up on your sit bones with the legs out straight. If you have okay hamstrings but your back is tight, you'll be able to sit up on those sit bones, but you won't be able to go forwards any with the back. You'll be kind of like this. And if you have tight hamstrings and a tight back, you will be slumped back on the sit bones, and also you won't be able to reach forward. So it'll be a combination of both. Plus the 2 extra little kind of hacks or tips are the miracle balls. those green myofascial release balls that release the connective tissue so that the muscles and the joints in your back can suddenly breathe and find their own correct position again and find their settlement, if you like, and not be pulled out of line by that tight connective tissue. Finally, the Swiss ball, the big gym ball, if you just drape yourself over the top and hang, that one is lovely, like I said, just like a rag doll. That's the only one of the exercises that's appropriate if you have osteoporosis or osteopenia. So I think that's it. I think I've probably rattled on for long enough in this Facebook Live. I hope you're finding them useful. If there's any particular topic that you would like covered, please drop a comment in the comment section below and just say, Amanda, you know, would you mind explaining a bit more about this one day, or I suffer from that, what's the situation, what can I do? And I'll gladly, if I can help, I will do. If I don't know and it's out of my remit, I will also say. I'll be very kind of transparent in that respect. I don't profess to know anything, or don't pretend to know anything that I don't, because I just think that's a waste of everybody's time. So I'll always be very honest in that respect. So I am going to sign off for today. If you would like the cheat sheet, comment below in the comments section, and look out for these Facebook Lives appearing in the vlogs section of the website. And I would be thrilled and chuffed to bits if you could share these with anybody that you think has back pain and that might benefit from them. And the next one is on Monday. I can't for the life of me think what it's on. What I'll do is, because I haven't got my sheet with me, I'll drop a little comment in the box below to let you know what Monday's topic is. I think, I've got a funny feeling, it's the 3 worst exercises you can do if you have back pain. So the 3 absolute no-nos, which most people actually think are the ones they should be doing. So I'm pretty sure it's that. If it's not, I might jig things around a bit and do that on Monday. So the 3 exercises that you mustn't do under any circumstances if you have a bad back, unless you want it to get a heck of a lot worse. So have a lovely weekend. I'm going to go back now and join the removals guys at the studio, and fingers crossed they may have it all done and I can go and have a brew, but I doubt that somehow. So thank you very much for tuning in. Drop me any questions that you may have, and I will see you on Monday. Have a lovely weekend. So that's Monday at 1 o'clock. Bye.